Let's get this going. We'll have some fun with this. There we go. Yeah, and we are back. Welcome back to the Sound Important Podcast, everyone. I'm here with my mate Alex Priest today. But if you've not really jumped on the trend of the Sports Speed Insider 10 minutes of speed exercise tutorial sports speed system breakdown from yours truly, then please do. Link in bio. You're gonna love it. You're gonna absolutely love it. But that's the soft pitch for what we're offering today. And now let's get into some value. And it's really different because, let me guess, obviously you're a strength and conditioning coach listening to this, and you may be going, I want to make a bit more money. I want to have a little bit of financial freedom. I want to create a reputation for myself outside the tracksuit that I wear. I remember the first time I got a WASP's email, everyone replied. When I didn't have a WASP's email anymore, no one replied. So I leveraged the amount of free shit I could get with that WASP's email for as long as I could. And so if you're listening to this, you know what I'm talking about. So Alex is basically epic at personal branding. He's got a CV as long as, I'll let you finish the blank off there, and we're just going to get stuck into how we can make sense of this world that we're in. So welcome today, Alex.
Good to be here, mate. Thank you so much for your time and for having me.
It was a good intro, wasn't it? We try our best.
It was good, mate.
So
doing well.
Good fun. So let's get stuck into branding, and throughout this, there's hopefully you can bring some of your stories from your past and what you're working on now. I think what you're really suited to this conversation is that, like, for most people here today that will be listening, maybe working a full-time job and then maybe thinking, well, I want to do something for myself, which is a path that you've chosen, which is really important. And there's psychological traits that go with that, but then also how do we show up? So why don't we talk, let's get all the nuts and bolts, basics of personal branding, like, out of the way. Like, what is it? So people can just get into it, and then we can fucking chop it up. Yeah.
Good. Personal branding, what is it? It's reputation. I think a lot of people nowadays hear that term, and it's become a popular term probably over the last 18 months, specifically on LinkedIn. And I think a lot of people think personal branding is just about a LinkedIn profile or the content you're putting out there. And that is a big mistake. You've got to now think of personal branding as a business opportunity. It can bring in all sorts of opportunities, whether that is, to your point, making more money, whether that is opening up speaking gigs, whether that's opening up networks and connections. There is endless opportunities. And whether you're a coach, a founder, athlete, there's various different ways to kind of do that and get into it. But at its core, personal branding is about your reputation on and offline. I think in today's world, with kind of what's happening with AI and automation, video has become more important than ever. Thank God this is on video, Sam. So it becomes really, really important that video is kind of part of your arsenal. But the reason I say that is the offline part is becoming more important than ever, in terms of showing up from a networking point of view, being out and about, meeting people face to face, because people want community and people want to feel connected. And ultimately, personal branding comes back to trust. So are you a trusted person? Is someone going to trust you to be their coach? Is someone going to trust you to give you their money? Is someone going to trust you to recommend you that you should go and write a book? Is someone going to trust you to speak at a conference? All comes down to trust. So personal branding is about reputation, and underpinning that is, how do you build trust for your personal brand? And it's not just about this glitzy, ego-driven world that some people may think it is. It's actually a very strategic business opportunity for people.
Yeah, I love that. That breaks it down eloquently. As you say, like, there's only, especially from a coaching context as well, it's so, like, how are we going to get people to believe that we can give them the thing that they believe is going to help them?
Yeah.
And that's huge, and you can't do that without a face. And
and trust. Sorry about it. Trust is so important. And what you're touching on there is the proof. So how do you deliver proof? And this is things that coaches will be aware of, but potentially are just not utilizing more. So it's kind of testimonials. It's your network. It's getting proof that you can actually deliver on that transition. With a lot of kind of people listening, I'm sure it's a case of a lot of athletes or people are coming to them at a transition point in their life or career, and they want someone to help them to go from A to B. So how can you show someone that you've taken another client from A to B? So it's about selling with proof, if that makes sense as well. Being like, well, let me tell you about this story where me and Sam worked together. Sam was here, he was at this point. We started here and we ended here. That is the proof I've got in terms of, and it's sold via a story versus, hey, I'm really good at what I do and I've got all these qualifications. It's not about a CV. It's about stories and about generating the proof, which comes from the trust as well.
Yeah, and especially, I guess, in the space that you know, all the strength and conditioning industry, 2009 only had one degree program in 2009, and now there's 80 in the UK alone, undergrad and masters, and it's still largely unregulated. So there's like SIMSA and stuff like that, but half the people don't even know what it is because there's no path to the career. So it's kind of like, well, how do we create like free thinkers and remove groupthink out of that? Because if you want to show up and be trustworthy, then you can't really be showing up as a on an assembly line of coaches, because the clubs just want the assembly line coach. How do we do it differently as a person?
Yeah, and I think that is so important because it comes down to, have you got a point of view? So based on your experience or your point of view, you need to put something out there. There's no point in this world being vanilla, because without a point of view, and obviously, Sam, you do this very well. You've got your lovers and haters who follow you, but that's because you've drawn a line in the sand in terms of, this is what I represent, this is what I believe in, and this is my point of view. Whether people agree or not is not a problem. Where a lot of people go wrong is they feel scared about doing that, and that is, I totally feel that. I feel that myself, but also with clients I work with. But it's actually going, draw a line in the sand. This is my belief and my values, and this is what I believe in, and I'm going to put this out there. And the worst thing you can do is try and be for everybody, because if you're trying for everybody, then you're for nobody. And then when you talk about that assembly line, you know, without going into the industry too much from the S&C point of view, because I don't have that knowledge, but you know, there's different pathways I see in terms of, the one pathway goes into the pro sport in terms of, there's pros and cons, as everybody will know about that. And to your earlier point, you get an email address, you get contacts. If you're in that world, get the experience, utilize that email address, because exactly the same thing happened to me when I was working for Adidas. Everybody responds to my email. When you go out on your own, everyone's like, who are you? Not bothered. Or the other option is then
on a side note, sorry, just so I can interject. Looking back on that now, did you wish you bought the Adidas domain with like 2 A's at the end and an S, or 2 S's at the end?
All of that,
open,
right? Yeah, exactly.
I should have got waspies.
Yeah, exactly. But I think then the other path is then, if you go out and create your own. So when you come off that assembly line, everybody is quite similar based on their experience. So you have to go and get more experience. You have to put your point of view out. So that's things, putting your point of view out is kind of through the lens of content. And there's a million ways to do that now. With all the tools you can use, it's easier than ever to create content and put it out there. It is scary sitting in front of a camera talking. I did a video yesterday. It must have taken me 20 attempts to do it, and it still takes me. And it takes time to kind of generate and get better and get more comfortable. But if you can start creating content based on your point of view and your experience and your takes on things, this is then going to develop your brand and your positioning within that industry. So within that assembly line, if there's 20, 30 S&C coaches who are coming out of, you know, one program, why are you different to them? Yes, you might specialize in a sport, but go deeper. And this is the personality part as well. So Sam, you do this really well. It's not just about being a coach. It's about your coach plus you outside being a coach. I think from an athlete point of view, an example, if you think of what LeBron James has done with More Than an Athlete, that platform that he's created, apply that to a coach as well. I'm more than a coach. So that actually means, what are you as a coach? What are your hobbies? What are your little kind of unique behaviors? People buy into people. And again, it comes back to this trust point. You want to trust somebody, so you want to be relatable. So again, it's how can you create your point of difference coming off that assembly line? It's about creating content that ladders into your point of view, that allows you to show, yes, your expertise, but also your point of view and you as a person. That's going to show up more and more.
Yes, nice. Hopefully, it should be quite refreshing for people to hear this, because a lot of the coaches that like are in my legacy mastermind stuff, and then just trying to get them to show up for who they are. Like you have your own pocket of people that will come to you.
Yeah,
And
it's about attracting a tribe. So it's not about, and your tribe doesn't have to be, there's myths around, I need 1 million followers to make loads of money. Them days have gone. There's obviously the old, I suppose, point of view that came out 5-10 years ago, maybe about 1,000 true fans. That still holds resonance today. If you have 1,000 people, spending 100 quid with you, great. There's your 100 grand a year, right? And your massive tick, and you're working on your terms. So it's not about having a huge audience, it's about having the right audience. So to your point, how do you create your tribe? And your tribe is about holding a mirror up and people can kind of relate to you, but also trust you. So that's a really important point as well.
Yeah, and to do that, I think you've just shattered a massive, overwhelming factor for a lot of people when they're using social media, like the borrowed media platforms. Is that and for anyone listening, borrowed media is like, and I want Alex to talk about borrowed, rented, and owned media in a minute, because I think it's really important. But it's something that we don't own. And Alex, if you could talk from your experience about how does brand work with those entities?
Yeah, I think if we take it back a step, you kind of look at some of the best creators, and how we are now terming them top platforms is discovery platforms. So that's your Insta, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, LinkedIn, X, Pinterest. They are platforms that are really good at allowing you to be discovered. Some are better than others, i.e. TikTok, you can be discovered and have a video blow up straight away. Instagram might take a little bit longer, but all of them are discovery channels. So that is kind of about capturing attention. And this is where a lot of people stop. They get that attention, and then what they try to do is sell straight away. And that doesn't happen because potentially they've got the wrong audience in there and they've not kind of brought them in a little bit more. The next layer down is relationship platforms. So this is a podcast, a community, an SMS, WhatsApp group or something like that. And it's about creating deeper relationships with your audience and bring them in that. And then underneath that, you then have products that you can kind of sell in different ways, or services. So I think an example is, a few clients I've worked with have, huge, hundreds of thousands, millions of followers on different platforms, but that's attention. And I've seen examples with some people who have had, 6-7 figure followings on them platforms, but can't sell anything because they've created a community, or sorry, not a community, they've created an audience of not customers or potential customers or leads. It's literally followers. So people enjoy their free content. And that is always a challenge in terms of how do you create a following that is actually going to help your business. And this is another point when it comes back to personal branding. Personal branding is different to having a content habit. A content habit is about turning up and just posting content. Personal branding strategy is about, what you're doing this for, and it's about building a business or building opportunities. So you just be careful about getting caught in between. So just to reiterate, at the top, you've got discovery platforms, your Insta, your TikTok, we talked about. Then you've got relationship platforms to get closer to your audience, which is kind of a newsletter, a podcast, WhatsApp group. And then that's where you can start to kind of offer people different products or services or opportunities to engage with you more and more.
So you're saying they're the platforms that we create, like audiences on, like Instagram and stuff, there'll be the borrowed platforms.
Yeah, borrowed, rented. Yeah. So if you kind of seen what happened whenever it was a month ago with TikTok, obviously there was businesses that were all created on TikTok and didn't have any other presence, and then disappeared overnight. Obviously they came back a couple of hours later, but that was, if that is not a reminder to you in terms of you are on rented land, that is a massive wake-up call. So whether it's any of them platforms, so there's some creators I'm working with at the moment where they have got hundreds of thousands of followers on one lead platform, but they don't have a business. They have a business because they're monetizing that audience, but actually they don't own that audience. So if Meta or Elon or whoever turn off that platform tomorrow, their business is gone. So the biggest thing I could recommend, and the one takeout, is build an email list. You've got to have an email list, because you can take that email list with you to the grave, right?
Yeah.
Yes, people open and close rates and all of that lot, but an email list is so much more valuable than them audiences, which can be turned off, tomorrow night. Again, to your point, them audiences, the discovery ones, are the borrowed, rented ones.
Yeah, I love that. And that's actually what happened to me. I had, when
I remember.
we did some work, and we did some work together, and we created a massive amount of reach, massive amount of, like, silly numbers, wasn't it? It was stupid. And then, but we weren't getting the pull that we wanted to get clients and coaches. It was, it was the wrong type of audience. So we switched gears, tweaked things up, and then some bloke hacked my ads account and was selling Dodge bumper lights, and everything got taken down. I went from 3 million impressions a month to nothing, and I lost the Instagram and my Facebook overnight. But I had 4,500 people on my email list.
Yeah, and that's the key thing. Like, be prepared. This can happen, especially what's happening now with kind of all the platforms and the changes that are happening. You've got to have an email list, and that's where you've got to build it from.
Yeah, and to be fair as well, there was a huge part of me that was relieved when I got hacked. It was just like, oh, okay, thanks. I can get off the hamster wheel that I put myself on as well.
I think that was it. I think creating content is really, really important, but you've got to be strategic, and you can easily burn out, especially if you start following the trends of some of these huge creators who we've got to remember have teams of people behind them who are spending 30, 40, 50K on a team to help them produce. And, some of them are using the old playbook about go and, create one long form piece of content and then distribute it 150 ways. That's great. And that's great for creating content that fills your feeds, but it's not necessarily going to help you grow your business, because every platform has to be specific in terms of what we, want to be doing on them.
Yeah. No, and so to wrap that for a coach like now, how would you say, let's think of that person maybe posting a little bit, not too sure, how do we take that, what you've just said, and go, here's 3 things, do this.
First thing is your positioning.
Yeah.
You can't be like everybody else. You've got to take a position. So it can't be just like, I help athletes get fitter. It has to be very specific about what you do and how you help them, and why your process or your methodology is different to the other person down the road. So you've really got to nail your positioning. The next thing I'd look to do then is, how do you build trust fast? So this coming back to kind of that spread of content, in terms of we're trying to teach people, we're trying to tell people, and we're trying to show people. So in terms of what are you teaching them, what is the value you're giving away? When you're telling people, you're telling them this is my personal interest, and then you're showing them these are the results I can do. So start to think about that. So definitely start positioning. Then you want to try and build fast. When it comes to like social, be very strategic with social, in terms of it is your phone as a tool.
Yeah.
Don't be using it from scrolling. It's a massive distraction. But if you can put yourself in the right frame of mind, the phone is the most powerful thing to help you build your business, especially with these platforms as a starting point. So there's that. Coming back to, I suppose, the point you made there about the coach who's posting a couple of times a week and maybe seeing traction or maybe not seeing enough traction. That first point of positioning is so crucial. Without that, you are going to struggle, because then you have not got a direction for your content. You're not creating it specifically for your ICP or your avatar. Once you nail your positioning, then everything else is kind of downplay of that, in terms of you can then start to build out your content strategy. What is the content you're producing for that individual to show up? And then what I'd be looking at is, how do you start an email? Like, how do you get a newsletter? Whether you're using Beehive, Kits, MailChimp, whatever it may be, the tool does not matter at the start. A lot of people will spend 2 hours going, is it this tool or that tool? Pick a tool and just start writing, because one of the best things with writing is it starts to clarify your thoughts. because you'll get it down. And the more you write, the better you'll get with clarity, and you'll get more confidence. And you'll start to share ideas on that. Some ideas will resonate, some ideas will, not resonate, which then will allow you to get sharper. So you can start to use content to get sharper with what your audience wants, to then start creating product services that are of interest to them.
Yeah, and that's a huge, massive. Like so if I deep dive into myself, it wouldn't be right if I didn't. Like, my thing was making teams what athletes run fast, but that's not good enough, because that's the easy bit. That's actually really easy when you know how. So then it's actually,
you have to be great. So this bit is from a coach point of view, being good as a coach is not enough. You have to be a great coach. That is a non-negotiable. You have to be really good at whatever your practice is. The business part is the bit on top. So with a lot of the people I work with experts in their niches, their industries, their spaces, because you have to build your expertise. You have to be able to stand on your own legacy and be like, I am good, and this is the way I do it, and these are the results I get. If you can't generate results, then potentially this is not the business or the path for you. The coaching should be the easy part. The business building is the difficult part, but it doesn't need to be difficult. But the coaching is a bit like, to exactly what you said there, you have to be a great coach. That is kind of a non-negotiable.
100%. And then also, that position, especially when we're thinking about who's the end user, the consumer, the individual that's going to benefit as well, they have to be center of the conversation. Why would I put a rugby player on a track where they need to be fast on the field as a really simple thing with a ball in their hand? The work I do as a coach, why would a coach need to listen to more webinars when they need to have a conversation with a group of other like-minded individuals?
Exactly. You need to get specific. And what it comes down to, that position is like, if there's one thing to take away, is like, write down one problem that you solve or that you can solve for your audience, and go to town on that. Go to town on that. And that problem could be, let's say the problem could be, I'm using speed as an example. I will, the start. You could literally be a coach, a speed coach, a running coach, whatever, who concentrates on the start. I will help you the first 3 steps or whatever it may be. That is what I'm an expert in, and I will help you. Yes, I might pass you on to other coaches to do everything, but get really specific on a problem. And the closer you get on a problem that people have, the easier it is from a business point of view, because you start to go a problem, then you start to go, what is all the content and the conversations around that? And there's something I posted there around content. If you are struggling for ideas, here's a simple little framework that I use with clients. It's called the Idea Engine. First one is insights. So what are you learning or what are you experiencing that could become a piece of content? The next one is industry. What's trending or happening in your space that you can, again, not just repost, we need a point of view on it, right? That's good, that's bad, I would have done it like this. The third one is interactions. What are the questions and comments you get all the time from friends, family, audiences that you can then start to kind of create content around? And the third thing is look outside of your space. With the coaching world, it's very, very samey. If you would put 100 coaches up, the content's exactly the same. So look outside of your space to be inspired by what other creators and other business people are creating on these platforms, and bring it back in. You have to have a point of difference when you're turning up next to your competition. And
there is like, and a lot of like pockets of niches are small, and there's often lots of comparison between. I get many comparisons, and it's actually they're not nothing like me, because they're not me, and that's what individuals step into that. So you have your unique story that is going to resonate with an individual along their journey, and you are part of that. They get on the bus with you, they get off the bus with you, and like that, when that's ready, and that's how you can communicate, rather than 5 exercises to wipe your own arse and stuff like that.
Exactly. And I think that
doesn't wash anymore.
The relatability point is so important. I look at my own journey. I worked in agency and brand land for 20 years with, the likes of Adidas, MasterCard, Diageo, like big brands and big talents. And 12 months ago, 14 months ago, maybe it was, I stepped out on my own for reasons. I wanted to build my own freedom, wanted to be in control of my own time, wanted to build my own brand and business versus building the brands and business of other people. That story now attracts other coaches and founders and athletes because they're in a transition as well. They are like, I see what you've done. You've made that jump. It's very, very difficult. So I'm kind of just sharing my blueprint in terms of what I'm doing for helping people who are a few steps behind me to be like, this is what I did. This worked. Don't do this. This didn't work. And that's, I think it's really important to be relatable to the people you're trying to help. And I think exactly what you're doing, with the likes of Legacy, you've been there, done that, and you're sharing the wins, but also the mistakes. And I think that's really important. There's a lot of mistakes people can make when it comes to personal branding. And one of them is just showing the wins. You've got to show the failures and the challenges because that's what makes you relatable to other people.
Yeah, that's and that like taking that risk could be quite scary, but it's actually very freeing.
It's terrifying. Let's know it's terrifying when you come off a salary, whatever that salary may be, when you know exactly how much you're going to get every month and you can work out your, how to keep the lights on, to then go from that to not having a steady salary coming in for, because you're trying to build your own thing is terrifying. You have to have a lot of self-belief and you have to be able to live with this tension because when you work for yourself, there is as many highs as there is lows, but them highs or lows, maybe in a club setting, come over a month period. The highs and lows of working for yourself come on a daily roller coaster. So the people who are successful have to be able to live with this tension in between them highs and lows and kind of go with it. And you have to learn to live with it as well. And I think I'm doing that at the moment. You're doing that as well in terms of how do you learn and keep showing up? You got to have bad days. You got to have good days. You got to have days when, you think, what am I doing? My business is failing. Then the next day, 3 emails drop and you're like, this is easy. This is great. I should be doing this. But from my own journey, it's been the best thing that ever happened for me. I worked for fantastic companies, great people, great clients, really like good teams. To then come out on my own was big and scary, but I've learned so much more. And I'm so much more happier. And now I've my own freedom, having a young child, 7 months old, to be able to kind of take whatever paternity leave I wanted, to be able to kind of, do 3 hours here, 10 hours. It doesn't really matter. You are in control of your own destiny. And I think this comes back to branding as well. You have to be in control of your brand. Otherwise, somebody else is going to talk about you in the way they think. So you have to control your narrative. So you control your narrative by putting out content, messaging, everything that works for you. That's so what's that word I'm looking for? Solidifies? No. Solidifies your positioning. Solidifies. That's the word. Sorry. Solidifies your positioning. Once you get your positioning, then you want to start spreading that message. So when you aren't in the room, they're going to go, you should go and speak to Sam about that. Yeah. So key thing, what comes back to the position, what do you want to be known for? And this comes back to the problem as well. What's the problem? So I want to be known as the person that helps people have the best start in running. And then you get to, your messaging tagline or whatever it may be. But what are you known for? Oh, you're struggling with your start. You should go and speak to Bob over there, or you should go and speak to Emma over there because she's fantastic at that.
Yeah. I remember I heard someone say, marketing's what you say in the room, branding's what people say about you when you leave the room.
Brand, everyone thinks like brand is around a logo or website. It's not. It's about what people say about you. The Nikes, the Adidas of the world. I've been in them rooms where we spent hundreds of thousands, millions of pounds on either athletes or brand campaigns. You're putting work out there to try and influence people to have a point of view and an opinion about who you are, and for them to make a connection. Comes back to, do they trust you? Can we trust them? And are they right for me? So tribe and trust come back. Whether you're a multinational, huge organization or a one-person business, it still comes back to like, who's my tribe? Can I relate to them? Are they the right person for me? And can I trust them? And that comes back to, you just have to nail, that reputation piece. And the last point I make around that is reputation is not just online, as I said, it's online and offline. That is really, really key to remember. There's a lot of people we know that maybe have a fantastic online reputation, but we might not work with them in an offline setting.
Yeah, oh my God, that's huge. There's two things that really sort of stuck out to me. That like the mindset piece is really getting to know who you are. Like, I'm a massive proponent of that. Like Opium, I'm coming up to need 10 years of therapy and mindset education courses, certification, like really holding that mirror up over and over again, because you have to know it. It's like, when the wind's in your hair and you've not got any Journey Club's tracksuit anymore, you're free balling and it's go time. And you have to, that edge is huge. And it's, you're 4 points down in a World Cup final, 2 minutes to go every day. You have to learn to love that.
You've got to learn to love that, and you've got to learn to find your inner genius. Everyone's got an inner genius, right? They just need to, everyone's got it. It's just whether they find it for themselves and can put it out there and share it with the world. And that is just so important. And that comes from mindset. And that is, there's a lot of work I've done personally, and I do with a lot of clients around self-awareness. Like, who are you? Who do you want to help? And how can we help that person? And what has happened on your journey through your experience that allows you to connect with them people on the other side?
Yeah. And it's, and it's okay to change what you're doing. Like you said, like
100%.
when because you can switch gears very quickly when you're very agile as an individual and as a single person empire, as it were. And it's okay if you start talking about things and then all of a sudden the world lights up. You're like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Just go with it.
Well,
and let it happen.
It's being you, right? It's a big thing. Be you, be real, and don't hide it back. I think, a lot of the most popular newsletters out there are the ones where people are sharing their journeys. And I've started to do a little bit in my newsletter in terms of, we did this, it didn't work. I did that, it worked, it didn't work. I've pivoted to here. I've been a bit too broad. To show that journey, it's not about. None of us are 100%. If I sit here now and think I know everything, there's a total flaw. You have to keep learning and being curious and evolving. And with evolving means you're going to evolve your business, your positioning, your pivot, But the best thing is, me and you can pivot like that, because it's only us in the computer that we need to kind of talk to, versus, working in an agency. If I wanted to pivot that agency, it's like 60, 70 people that were going, okay, we're all going this way. And it's just not possible. So that is the advantage you have as an individual as well.
Yeah. Yes. Love it. And which is why, like, again, when you open that door, just allowing things to flow and as you are being yourself. And the biggest misconception for strength and conditioning coaches is that if you leave a club, that loads of pro athletes will be queuing up to work with you. No, we don't have American sport off seasons. They don't even have the money. The footballers this year got 19 days off after the Euros. Rugby players get 5 weeks off and they are fucked. That's not how you're going to make money. That's not how you're going to build something sustainable.
So it's really interesting. You've got to work out who that customer is. So one of the things, again, for me, where personal branding starts but also finishes, it goes into business opportunities as well. So when you're looking at your personal brand, you want to be like, how can I monetize that? So what is the services or products I'm going to offer? And that comes down to your customer. To your point, from what I see looking in from a coach's point of view, a lot of people think they're going to work with athletes. And as you've rightly said, athletes, don't have the money or won't spend the money and don't want, have, other commitments when they do have that rest time. Yes, we're starting to see obviously some offers pop up, in Dubai now, with a few Premier League footballers dropping out there for a day or two. But I doubt they're paying. And if they are paying, it's going to be more from a marketing point of view. So actually, you've got to think about your customers and your pyramid and being like, okay, cool, I might work with one athlete or two athletes, but what, pro elite athletes, but what are they going to do? Are they going to be the source of my business? Or actually, is it the second tier of emerging athletes? Is it young athletes? Is it kind of amateur athletes? Whoever it may be. But again, you've got to get down to, how much do you want to earn each month? Once you have your figure, whether that's 1K, 5K, 10K, 100K, whatever that number is, you can then start to really understand how many people you need in your business to make it successful. For some clients, we'll go, okay, cool, we want to make this much, and we'll work out that we need this many clients within that business to make it successful. And, we're talking, we're not talking hundreds. Some might be hundreds. Some might be like 1,000. I need 1,000 customers. Some of the people might be like, I need 5 people each month to hit my target. So that I think that's really key about stepping out of pro sport. Very similar to me. in a way that working in the sports marketing world, stepping out, yes, you have some athletes who want to work with you, but a lot of athletes are like, well, no, because I was only working because Adidas paid me to be there or something like that. So yeah, you have to work out who actually is going to pay you and has the money to pay you, and can you find them and target them easily, and is there enough of them?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, without a doubt. And I think changing behavior and work related behavior is really important as well. Like when you are part of a machine, like a sports team or a big corporate, your behaviors are very different to when you work for yourself. How have yours changed? How have yours changed?
It's when you wake up and go, well, no one's telling me what to do, so what do I do? So this responsibility really clouds you, I think, at the start, to be like, you have to take responsibility, because in corporate world, emails do come to you constantly, too many. When you go out on your own, there's no emails because you're not doing any work to get things out there. So you have to really take responsibility and be accountable for that. One of the best things that helped me was creating my perfect week. So what does a perfect week look like? No one can ever have a perfect week, but if I aim for it, that's, and I feel good. So I would work out that, okay, based on, I want this time with family, this time with friends, I want this time to exercise, I want this time to learn, I want this time to do this. It works out that you actually I only have something like 15 hours a week to work with clients. So then you break that down, you go, well, that only allows me X amount of clients per week. Great. So then you go, well, that means I can charge this to get to the number I want to. So by breaking down your perfect week and being accountable for your time, that will really, really help. And I think that was one of the big things that helped me, because before that I was a little bit lost, and I was a bit like, still turn up with a 9 to 5 mindset and being like, okay, cool, what do we need to do today? And actually now some of the habits I've put in place in terms of, at the end of each day, taking that 15 minutes to go, this is my kind of 2-3 core things I want to do tomorrow or focus on tomorrow, makes it a lot easier. But yeah, that perfect week was a real unlock for me from a understanding where my time was going and how I wanted to spend my time. Because I think when you come out and work for yourself, you have that. Everyone talks about, I want the freedom. There's no point having freedom if you change your desk, because then you change your desk for 10 hours when you're changing your desk, or and chained to a gym in that circumstance.
Yeah, there's something I'd love you to speak on. I remember when I first started, I was actually working and posting YouTube videos before I got into Wasps and stuff like that, and I actually got bullied at Wasps, and I got bullied at Ealing over it, the self-promoter and all those sorts of things. What my typical back up against the wall, well,
Didn't sound
let's
like
have
you.
ya.
Yeah,
no, exactly.
like
But it does weigh on you, and there's a lot of fear. I remember walking into the meeting room, my YouTube video was played on repeat all morning, and people laughing at me, and that was not a nice experience. And for some people, although you bravado it out, that stays with you. I'm talking about it nearly 10 years later, it stays with you. How would you say to someone who going, I can't step too far out of my zone, as it were, how can I start doing this thing? Maybe looking to jump at the end of the season. Maybe looking, how do I start just doing this without
I understand that. So I think if you gave yourself a 12-month roadmap, for example, you've got to, I think, jump forward to then jump back. I think you've got to think about, what is it that I want to be selling or doing at that point? So if we just take speed, right? If we kind of go, okay, I want to be selling speed at the, in 12 months time, I want to be a speed coach, helping people with their first 3 steps.
Selling amphetamines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not that type of speed. You then go, if you are still, because this is very commonplace in terms of, if you've got an employer, that's what this is, right? How do you start building your personal brand? So a good employer should encourage you to build your personal brand, because the company is going to win based on that as well. If you're putting yourself out there more, the company will win. But that's not the answer for here. For here, I would be starting thinking about where your audience is going to be. So that potential audience. So if you think about athletes, where are athletes going to hang out. Again, elite athletes
Mm.
aren't really online, right? Elite athletes come through recommendations, word of mouth. So again, you might start there. You might not do anything online to a point. You might just go from a real offline effort to start kind of having these conversations and talking with people. But if we're talking about, let's say, the everyday athlete or the amateur athlete or someone like that, where a lot of these people are online, you start to kind of look at, or you want to be a S&C coach to CEOs, for example.
Yeah.
So you look at the platform. So for example, if you were to look at LinkedIn, you could start just dropping content on LinkedIn, and you can start very much with a text-based thing. It's not as draining or as difficult to get started with text on LinkedIn or on X as it is for Insta or YouTube. You can build up to them, and through that, you can start sharing your points of view on things that are happening in the industry. You can also start sharing the work that you're doing. So, hey, I work with this, I work with this athlete in the club. They've just come back from injury, and this is what we did. And putting it out there, and it's not, you're just sharing your journey. So no one's going to look at that. Everyone's just going to be, oh, that's interesting. Sam's just starting to, share his work a little bit more. By sharing your work and the lessons and the learnings. Okay, so we had a player, who came to me, and this is the program that we put them on, and they got quicker results because we, brought this type of process into their, back to field, whatever it may be. Talk about that through LinkedIn. The other thing as well is use that network that you've got in that club or that email address you talked about to start having conversations with people. So we were just talking before around LinkedIn at the moment is really pushing video, and they're investing a lot into video, and LinkedIn lives are becoming a lot more popular now with creators. So could you be looking to do a monthly live where it's just a chat with you and another coach at another club, talk about this is what we did, this is what I did. So I think it starts to come back to, like, how can you start to show your experience through your day-to-day job would be one pillar.
Yeah.
And then the other pillar is giving your point of view on what's happening in trends or within the industry at large and adding value. You've got to be helping people, thinking about who you're trying to help. I would probably start with a text-based platform, so either X or LinkedIn to begin with, because it's easier to get going straight away, especially with all the tools out there today. From a YouTube and Instagram point of view, I think Instagram is harder because you've got to have content. So you're either got to create that content yourself via video, or you're taking a lot of selfies, or you're trying to take club content, which is probably not the best thing to do, and post it on your channels. So I'd probably look to kind of lean into LinkedIn and X from a text point of view. And then once you start to feel a bit more comfortable with that, I would also go create a newsletter about your experience at that club, what I'm learning. So you obviously don't need to be giving the secrets away that you're not allowed to talk about, but you could easily have a monthly, quarterly, weekly newsletter that you're dropping about behind the scenes from, whatever my journey in terms of what's happening. Because what you're trying to do there, you're just trying to show your experience online. So you're not selling. In a way, it's the easiest thing to do because you're not selling anything. You're just trying to put your experience out there and your personality out there so people start to know, oh, this is Sam. He talks about this stuff. So again, think about, if you're, at the start, think about what do you want to be known for and what's your position. I want to be known for the speed coach who helps people with their starts. Great. Start specifically talking about that through your content with examples that you're doing in your club. Does that answer that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not, it's not rocket science. It's logical. It's simple. It should be low lift.
Should be low lift, but just have a bit of a strategy in place. Don't just go out there and start posting, because you will then get very disheartened 6 months time and you're like, well, I posted, nothing really come. You have to have a strategy so it pulls together. So you're going this is the strategy, this is the playbook that I want to do with my brand. And as I said, it all starts with positioning. Have to start with positioning. It's not about visibility so much as about, you have to be positioned right, because if you get positioned, people will find you.
Yeah, and it's really, coaches as well. They're the most ironic bunch of people. I love them to death that fucking frustrate me over and over again, because they want their athletes to follow systems, but they can't follow systems themselves. They are so distracted. A bunch of ADHD people knocking about, and what you just said there is exactly that. It's, you know, literally just knock out your sets of reps.
This is it. This is what I say to any
follow the
athletes,
program.
any of the elite athletes I'm working with or coaches. That is literally the language I'm using. You have been an elite athlete at the top of the game for 18, 19 years. What did you have to do? You have to train, and you have to follow a system that someone kind of gave to you. I'm going to give you a system, follow it, and you'll be successful, but you have to do the work. To a coach, you give your athletes systems to follow a system, you will be successful. You have to do the work. It's put in the repetitions. There's no shortcuts. Yeah, everyone can have a 15-minute of fame if they get a TikTok blow up or something like that. That is not about brand or reputation. That's just about kind of the very shallow personal brand. I'm not interested in that. This is about reputation. This is about, can you get up on stage and hold your own, talking about a subject matter where you've got a point of view and experience to back that up. And that's where personal brands become really, really powerful to open up opportunities.
Love it. Very powerful stuff. Very hopefully uncluttering information that you pulled out there. I know we don't have too much time left, but I was going to ask you what from your career as well. I always like to, funny stories are funny stories, right? So from your corporate career, is there any kind of stories that jump out and you're like,
I'm NDA'd down now.
Because some of them it's like, is this what they fucking mean?
Yeah, there's been so many. We could have a whole podcast on that. I think there has been times where you're like, what is going on here? And there's things where you're like, this can't be happening, but it is. And, you know, things crop up, especially in the event side of the business. You're like, we thought we had everything nailed down and something happens. I suppose moments when you pinch yourself and you have, you know, a good laugh on set was one memory that comes to mind, and it's a bit of a name drop, but we'll go for it anyway. Is when I was working with Kevin Hart and Usain Bolt, and I'd come up with an ice bath challenge before ice baths. They're probably in pro clubs, but this is 10 odd years ago, and seeing Kevin just riff, his comedic timing is unbelievable. Like, a lot of people will try and brief to death, but he was just like, give me one line, and he just riffs with it. And him and Usain had this 5 minute of just like pure joy when you watch it back, and it's still out there and it's done very, very well. I think other moments is when you work in a world when you're fortunate to work with well-known people who have got massive teams behind them. There is on occasion when you see people who potentially get overexcited and forget they're in a professional capacity of that person. That always kind of give me a little bit of a giggle when, you know, some none of my mates I will call out on this, but there were, you know, some people got overexcited because, oh my God, that's that person. And even if you do feel that, you're in a professional setting, as people, you know, as coaches are with athletes, right? I'm trying to think. I don't really have a funny. I've got there's loads of like travesties in terms of events, and, you know, we were flying around the world to do this event and things didn't arrive, and, you know, things are stitched together by hand and it's for a premium brand and stuff like that. There's a whole catalogue of the ducks working very hard underwater moments that you know, people don't see, right? Because you know, you learn. And I think one of the best things is can one of the best I suppose aspects is, as a person, can you evolve in the moment and adapt, right? And whether that is a coach and something happens to your athlete, or you have to react quickly for whatever it may be, it's kind of to have that ability to react, adapt, and stay calm in situations, I think is a really cool thing.
I love that. That's great to hear. Do you know what popped into my head when you were talking about Kevin Hart and Usain Bolt? They used that same formula when promoting the Jumanji movies with The Rock and Central Intelligence.
He also took it. Yeah, he also took it into his own comedy show, that did really, really well. So he would interview people in ice baths. Yeah, just one of them little. So he took the idea we kind of used there, and then he put it out on his comedy channel, and that rolled for a few years. And then obviously ice baths have now become mainstream consumer things, right? Yeah. So there's loads of. I've been very, very fortunate to work with fantastic people in that corporate world and fantastic clients. And now I'm very fortunate to be working with lots of other great individuals and helping them build their brands. So I'm sure in time there's lots of different stories and jokes that will come out about the mistakes and learnings we've all made along this path that we're on.
Yeah, awesome. So tell everyone where they can find you. Reach out. You better have a newsletter, which you do.
I do have a newsletter. I'm what I would say is I'm fantastic at giving advice out. I need to start applying it to myself a lot more. And this is the thing about stop building brands for other people and start building for yourself. I think I think if you're a coach and looking to build your brand, I think the best thing is a few places you can connect with me, but LinkedIn. So just Alexander Preece on LinkedIn and drop me a DM. Happy to have a conversation. Otherwise, I've got my newsletter that you can find through my LinkedIn and on Instagram at that Alex Preece. But all of that can be found at alexpreece.com as well.
There you go. Love it. All around your own name. That's a big reason.
That's a big thing, right? Again, there's been a few people who've had a laugh at that, but we continue to grow and build, right? That's the thing.
No one cares if you're ABC Performance, if you're a personal brand. But anyway, we'll stop. You have to go and be someone special, someone else. So thank you so much.
Now. But no, thanks so much, mate. I'll chat to you again soon. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.